The stuff I'm going to presenting in the slides are not something going to be surprising to you. Most of it is stuff you already have seen in the textbooks or seen online. But what I'm going to be sharing with you primarily is my experience as a psychotherapist for the past 26 or 27 years, both working in the hospital for sick kids and working in the community as, imam therapist, and lately working professionally as a, registered psychotherapist in one of the counseling centers in Mississauga, possibly here in Hamilton as well. And that's what I wanted to present. I wanted this to be more interactive because it's simply, as I said, the stuff you see here is not something, going to be new to you, because most of it is something you're pretty much familiar and aware with. So rather than going to talk about mental health, because this is something that is in the air, like there's a lot of talk about mental health nowadays, a lot of resources being dedicated to this. And when I was sharing this event with MPs who came to visit my masjid here in Hamilton, and two of the MPs were very interested and showed interest to come and attend to this event because they feel that it is an important issue. We need to be, behind it and put more, efforts and money into mental health. But many of us hear this word a lot and we just don't get it. What's mental health? Like, what is it exactly? What does mental health mean? And how is there something called Islamic or Muslim mental health, or it is just mental health? It's a broad definition, by the way. And to get the right understanding for mental health, we're going to be contrasting with mental illnesses. So we get the background of mental illnesses, and after that, we get like the background to give us an understanding of what's mental health. And whether there is Islamic mental health or Muslim mental health versus mainstream mental health, I can tell you from experience that majority of my clients who come to me, they frankly say to me up front, we got fed up with mainstream psychotherapists because they just don't get it. They don't get where we're coming from as Muslims or certain cultural background. And when they give us, therapy, it's just like way somewhere else. It's not connected to what we're, dealing with, or unpractical, recommendations to improve the quality of our life. So there is indeed, what is called Muslim perspective of mental health. And is there something called Islam or Muslims or Quran and Sunnah and mental health? Indeed. When you look into the Quran, and this has been my interest, and my hope is inshallah one day I'll be able to write something on this issue, is psychotherapy or psychology or understanding human mental issues or health within the context of the Quran and the Sunnah. And when you open the Quran, you'll find it a lot. There's a lot of verses talk about mental health. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. And talking about, the human nature, ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. Yes, there are issues presented in the Quran that are could be seen from the first recipients of the Quran in the Arabian Peninsula and within the context of Mecca and Medina as issues related to their own understanding. But as society advances, we're getting to connect the dot. We're getting to see the Quran in a different perspective. We're getting to understand how Quran is related to us, to our physical and mental health. Because after all, as a human being, we are a composition of what you see in front of you from physical appearance, and this is the body, and there's the mind, and there's the ruh. And we know that the nourishment of the body is to eat properly, as they claim, which is something I don't necessarily agree 100% with, because we eat too much here in Canada for some reason, and we try to lose weight and it's not working. And for some reason, we just struggle, and this has caused some, pain for us emotionally and mentally. And there's the mind and the nourishment of the mind by seeking the knowledge, both of the dunya and the deen, and be aware and expanding your horizon, understand yourself, understand your life and the environment around you. And there's the ruh. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. Is there interaction between the two? Definitely, absolutely, precisely. You cannot separate the two from each other. And unless you look into your ruh nourishment and look after it, you frankly would be just living in struggle. Just before coming, I was dealing with two clients. One of them was a professional brother. His, outstanding professional achievement were amazing. He said, I was able to achieve in my profession, in the corporate that I work with, I was able to achieve at the age of 33 what people at age of 40 would be able to achieve. I became an associate with the organization he's working with. And he was saying, I don't know. I'm looking back in my life. Was it worth to, work that hard and make this outstanding achievement in a very short time? Or should I have taken my time? And I said to him, there is nothing wrong with excelling in your profession and working very hard and rolling your sleeve and being productive person. Well, I think what's important and what you haven't paid attention to is your ruh. And he said, yeah, you're right. So I said to him, maybe we need to invest more in your spiritual life. Besides the issues we dealt with, from psychological perspective, let's look into what is happening really in your life. So let's go back again and see what is mental illness. Mental illness is basically conditions involving changes in your emotions, the way you think, your behavior sometimes gets changed, or a combination of everything. And when we look further into mental illnesses, it can be associated with distress, and this is most of the time. 90% of my clients come to me with a lot of stress in their life that they are unable to bear, or it is problems in functioning in social setting, work settings, family interaction. And funny enough is that many of my clients are sent by their own HR department. They tell them, you gotta go seek help. You need to get some counseling. You need to get some therapy. They do not believe in it. And this is the funny part of it. Like many of my clients is like, yeah, well, I'm here because my HR nurse told me that I need to see a therapist. I looked into the internet. I couldn't find someone who can understand me, and I need this to be private. Is this private? Yes, it is. So what goes in the counseling room, what goes in Vegas, stays in Vegas, right? and what and what is said in the counseling room stays in the counseling room. That's it. No one knows about it unless you give me the consent. I do sometimes do youth therapy, and it's fair enough because the parents wants to know what goes on in their life, and I get the consent from them unless there's something that they tell me, no, my parents need not to know about this. Okay, I respect that. There's no problem. So they come with like, yeah, I understand. And then if after that, what's funny is that first couple of sessions they feel, this is nonsense. And then I look into my agenda, I see the same individuals who say nonsense book themselves for the next 4 months, on a regular basis. And when they come back to me and said, what happened? So, I thought it's wasting of time, but then I realized, no, there's something that is missing in my life. And when I was in the sessions, I was seeing things I haven't, seen in my life. And I thought, I need to be here. I said to him, sure. That's why you're welcome anytime to come. I'm not going to judge you when you said to me, I'm not getting anything. I said, sure, it could possibly be. I'm not a perfect person. I do have some experience, but it's not perfect. And if you feel that you're not getting anything out of this, by all means, you can just stop. Get it from somewhere else. Look for something else that can help you. But as I said, 99% of the time, they come back and say, don't feel bad about it. That's normal because this is what happened to most of the clients. At the beginning, they feel, the anxiety, they feel the change, and their whole life is falling apart. And then after that, they come back again and say, well, I need to get the help. There you go. Let's put ourselves on track and get the help you need. So now, mental illnesses refer to collectively to all diagnosable mental disorders, health conditions involving significant changes in thinking, emotions, behaviors. And this is what you need to pay attention to yourself, which is not that possible, but to pay attention to others around you. And if others around you are saying to you, there's something wrong with the way you think, with your emotions, with your behavior, listen to them, please. It's do not be in denial. Do not be in illusion, and do not be saying, no, just forget it. What are you talking about? It's you who are having problem, not me. That's what we need to say all the time. Or there is a stress in your life, problem functioning in social settings or work and family activities in general. So that will take us to talk about now about mental health. What's mental health? Mental health involves effective functioning in daily activities, results in ability to adapt to changes and cope with adversities, and healthy relationships. And this is very important. When couple come to me for counseling, they they come with very heavy loaded perceptions and feelings, and every side try to prove themselves right. He is the one who's causing pain to the family, is causing so much stress, and it's like. And I say to them, by the way, I forgot to tell you from the beginning, it does not concern me who's right and who's wrong. Because frankly speaking, I do not have any forcing authority to change or to force someone to change. But what I can help you with is help you to be able to see what is going on in your life and figure out with me, or together, we can figure out how we can make the change in your life. So you're part of the change process. It doesn't come from it. It's not a magical bullet. It's not going to be Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and that's it, we're done, and that you go home. No, it doesn't work this way. Because once I was doing, recitation for one of the families in the hospital, said, and then mom said, you did not. I said, yeah, because your child is sick. You don't want me to spit in his face, do you? Especially with COVID, Anyways, so next slide, please. So mental health is the foundation for emotions, thinking, communication, learning, resilience, hope, and self-esteem. What does this mean? It means that mental health is also a key to relationships. If you are having, difficulties to be having a fruitful, healthy, nurturing and productive relationship with others around you, whether being your siblings, being your friends, in campus, or the people in the community, then there is something wrong. There's nothing wrong with seeking help and trying to see how we can improve that. It could be also, a key for personal and emotional well-being. And I'm not sure if any of you have attended any of my nikah services. I tell them in advance, you're not having an imam, you're having a therapist. and I may Allah forgive me. This is what I don't like to do, but I think they seem to enjoy it. I put them on the hot spot and I make them embarrassed and make them blush and make them, and I say, they say afterwards, this is gonna make us remember the moment. This is gonna be a unique event in our life. But I try to emphasize and focus with them on the importance of having a healthy emotional relationship. Maybe it's too early for you to think about that as you're still, in the school life. If you are married, they will, get to understand what I'm talking about. This is something to keep in mind, inshallah, for a near future. Hopefully it's not that long, inshallah. Invest in your emotions with others around you, even if it is, someone close to you. We're not talking about, affection and all the details. Even like there has to be genuine, caring, relationship and emotions flow between you and others around you. And also, a key for our contribution to community and society, because if you do not have a healthy mind, chances you're not having a healthy body, chances you're not having a healthy, effective relationship with everything around you, including your work, your contribution, your advancement as a person who's trying to excel in his or her life. So now mental health is a component of overall well-being. So in other words, it's not only the physical well-being that we're looking for, which is most of the time we hear lots of talk about, You gotta exercise, try the keto diet. How many of you did not try the keto diet, by the way? You did not try it. Oh, how come? Where are you guys living? You know my tries, how many times I tried it and failed? I've tried every single diet you can think of that come up. Wow, you gotta try this. This is the most effective one. As follower to all those dietitians and all those. They're trying to make their selves popular on social media. That they think, oh, please make sure you subscribe and share and the ring the bell. I guess ring the bell and. Now I get it. It's not what you're talking about. It's not what you need from us. It's not what you're presenting. So I really don't care much about, like, this is what I remember one of the scholars said. When the Sahaba get the chance to slaughter a lamb or a small sheep, it will be mentioned in the seerah. Did you notice that? Here we talk a lot about, oh, today I was able to lose 0.001 pound. It was an achievement, I'm telling you. It must be to all the starvation I have been going through for the past 2 weeks, and the time I have spent in the gym, and the hard work I have been exercising and jogging and doing all these things in my life. But you know what? After a couple of days, it goes back again. That's the sad part. Every time I lose something, it doesn't take me long to gain it back again, and maybe double. So, so let's go to the next slide. So mental health versus health, physical health. Again, I already mentioned that mental health can influence and be influenced by physical health. So there's intercorrelation. Looking after your physical health is important, but at the same time, what's more important is to look after your mental health, which is overall well-being, looking after your ruh, mind, and the body as well. Not only one perspective and ignoring the others. So now, mental illness does not, by the way, discriminate between people. There is a list of different, categories, and many people think, oh, Muslims don't have problems with their, with mental issues. If you're a practicing Muslim, if you pray 5 times a day, if you read Quran, come on, you should not be having problem. May Allah forgive me, and I'm trying to be careful in presenting some cases, but without getting too much details and keeping the confidentiality of the clients. Once a client came to me, that person, without even identifying the gender, is a Hafiz Quran. And that person feels that because they're Hafiz Quran, they must be an icon, they must be a role model. But the problem here is that person is having issues of depression in that person's life, without again going to the details of the gender. And then when that person came to my office and we got to talk, I could see how huge and heavy that perception that person carries over the shoulder. How could I be a Hafiz Quran and having depression in my life? The Prophet ﷺ, had similar issues. Yaqub alayhi salam, فَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. Isn't that mentioned in the Quran? So we're human beings. Yes, it's a fact. We do have mental health issues. But it's also a fact we have an effective way to deal with these issues within the context of Islam. So let's not be caught with this, oh, Muslims, I remember once when I first started going to the hospital, I was under the illusion that, I'll be facing non-Muslims only, with problems in the hospital. I don't think there are going to be Muslims with, with health issues. Cancer doesn't come across Muslims because they read Quran. Do they? Right? No? Do you think so? No? Oh, okay. As a matter of fact, may Allah inshallah give rahmah to one of the Hafiz who was in the hospital. He was, mashallah, a very brilliant young brother. He was a Hafiz, contributed into Salat Taraweeh in his masjid, and he, may Allah have rahmah on his soul. He passed away in a very traumatic, condition with his brain tumor issues, and his mother is still up to nowadays in touch with me, and she's working on the charities for him. So yes, across the board, there's no difference between what's your faith, cultural, gender, color of skin, or or orientation. You got that right, and to what happens to you in your life. That's basic. So now we need to defeat that stigma. That mental health are issues that could affect us possibly, including myself. Like I've had my issues and I got my treatment. Alhamdulillah, everything is okay. One of the my closest friends and brothers that I know, he's a PhD in health field, and he himself was trying to explain for me that there is nothing wrong with taking medications. I was feeling that no, it's impossible, and then after I got to deal with my psychiatry, who gave me the medication in a certain treatment plan, I was able to achieve something. I think it was okay. So when I heard it from this brother, it's like, whoa, you changed my perceptions. Seriously, we need to change the perceptions around the treatment and medications, because they are, after all, issues that Allah have created to us, and it created us with the ability to interact. And there is, tadawu ibad Allah. There is nothing that Allah Azza have made as a sickness except that He have revealed or made a treatment for it. Alimahu man alimahu wa jahilahu man jahilu. If you know it or do not know it, that's up to science and advancement in medicine in certain time. But mental health conditions are treatable, and improvement is possible. Many people with mental health conditions return to full functioning, and I have countless examples to share of many brothers and sisters who have had especially early in their life. And by the way, the age your guys are living in is very critical in a certain way, because you're more susceptible to mental health issues than any other cohort or other age segment, because of the stress lifestyle you live, and because of the conditions and the awesome food you consume from the fast food restaurants. It's like nice, isn't it? You go for the fast food restaurants, and even like one of the funny things is that when you go to Mecca now, you exit from the Haram, right in front of you, right there, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, Starbucks. It's like, for Allah's sake, we need to get a break. Not in the Haram. Yani, come on, let's eat healthy. Let's eat something that is real food, not garbage, because it's affecting our body and our mind. So it is also preventable, with being more, following the preventable measures, which we will talk about some of them, inshallah, that can, inshallah, help you to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So treatment is based upon individual, planned, developed collaboratively with mental health clinician. And again, let's, we have a saying in Arabic, أعطي الخبز لخبازه لو أكل نصه. You know what that means? Give the dough to the bakery, even if he eats half of it, because he knows what to do. Otherwise, when you try to bake your dough, then eventually it will be burned. So let's be more humble and trust professionals as they will be trusting us when we become professional in our capacity. So let's put that in mind. And also, it's as I said, it's also between the clinician and individual, or the family members who are involved in the individuals. Like today, the second counseling session I had was amazing, because I was doing exposure therapy. To those of you who knows what's exposure therapy, and the client come with the spouse, and the spouse was extremely supportive, amazingly supportive, and that's like, I told that in the spouse that 50% of the treatment is from the spouse, not from my work, because that's what you need to be able to get into an effective treatment plan. And and the person, the client was, and I help them to understand that you gotta pay more attention to this peril that you have in your life. Again, I'm trying to be careful with genders to keep the confidentiality. But the family members or the family members that are, if the person is unable to by himself or herself to create this treatment plan, is essential and important. Now, psychotherapy, which is talking therapy, cognitive therapy, behavioral cognitive therapy, music therapy, pet therapy, whatever therapy, because nowadays there's a million list of therapies you can think of are available for people. And I think the question came to me once from here is like, can we have dogs for therapy in dawah activities? Okay, I'm not gonna comment on this. Okay, because some people are laughing, so forget it. That's okay. Okay, medication. When necessary, medication are essentials because you cannot have psychotherapy if medications are needed to start with. And after medication or along with medication, therapy is possible. I say to my clients up front, I'm sorry, I wish I can help you, but I guess you need to start with your psychiatry, and then your psychiatry will put you on a medication treatment plan, and then after that, inshallah, by the help of Allah Azza, we'll be able to do something. Medication are, unlike the illusions, I know that medication do have side effects, and they're improving as time goes by, but if you're able to get your treatment without medication, alhamdulillah. But there will be times when medication is important. So you can get yourself on the threshold to be able to start the treatment. Oftentimes, a combination of the two would be important, complementary, which is like yoga or whatever other types of therapy people think, oh, it's fine as long as it gets the results. There's no harm. Let's go to the next slide. So self-help and support can be very important to individuals. Again, the examples I shared with you how the immediate surrounding of the client is very important because it helps individuals in coping, recovery, and well-being. Lifestyle changes. We said about having good nutrition, and I hope we're mindful of that. Let's not just be caught with eating anything, especially fast food. And we're not against the fast food industry, but eat real food, like healthy, real food. Mental health and recovery, comprehensive treatment plan, maybe including individual actions, for example, lifestyle changes, which is something that many of us should be looking forward to do. And if not by ourselves, we need to get some help from outside. Support groups. One of the things that I have worked on since I started working in the hospital is create support groups. And normally these support groups, there's one sister, Mila, bless her, it's a one phone call only. Sister, I need you. I'm there. Okay, whatever, just refer the family to me and she takes care of everything. As I said again, in your environment as students with a lot of stress in your life and very poor lifestyle of eating and sleeping and taking care of your hygiene to a certain extent, because there will be times when you just be studying and sleeping in the library or focusing on your schoolwork and you forget all about other things in your life. You need to have this supportive environment. And if there are individuals around you, see that they're not feeling well, they're having issues, reach out for them, offer the support and be supportive to them, and be empathic. Empathetic, I'm not sure with the English when I'm saying this. Give them the empathy, empathic listening or listening with empathy. This is something, by the way, with no offense, all the brothers, 99%, I shouldn't be judgmental, don't know how to exercise. No offense, brothers. And this is one of the things I first start with couple therapy. Brother, let me have a minute with you. Have you heard of empathic listening? What? What does this mean? I said, before you come to me, Google it and I'll help you to exercise it. Okay. So support is essential, very important, because it takes a big chunk of the treatment, process. And exercising that enhance recovery that enhance recovery and well-being. So these are all things that you need to keep in mind to switch and shift in your life to have a positive shift and change in your life. So what do you think are the most common issues that therapists or psychotherapists deal with? No, let's not talk about psychotherapists. I'm not going to get in there because many of the mental health issues are things I can deal with because I'm a psychotherapist. I deal with issues that I have the ability to deal with. But mental health issues like schizophrenia and mental other related mental issues, those needs psychiatric attention and mental health facilities. And alhamdulillah, as I said again, with medications, things are getting improved and treatment is possible. And alhamdulillah, everything is and have so many clients who come after treatment with their psychiatrist for therapy. And alhamdulillah, with a combination, things are thumb up. So what do you think? Just like quickly, what do you think are most of common issues that are in general in society and in our community? Yes.
Big issue, but like in general, like physical hope and motivation.
Okay.
This encompasses like
Depression, anxiety. Yeah. I want to take like a brother from this side. What do you think? Anyone in the back? Oh, there you go. I can't see because of the light in my eyes. I was trying to find a spot where I can stand and see you, but not being, Yes, go ahead, sister. I'm sorry. Yes, I can see a hand, but I can't see who is speaking. Yes. Yeah, OCD. Perfectly right. I was, at least, 25% of my clients have OCDs. Yes. Stress. Yes. Anxiety. Yeah. PTSD. Oh man, tell me about it. PTSD. It's a big issue, very big issue. Many, not only in our community, it's now there is a much talk about PTSD in the media that finally people are getting to realize that there is something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes, brother in the back. Yes, yeah. Eating disorders, of course, I do, and it's primarily within the young population. Primarily within the young population. Yeah. Anxiety, yeah. Anxiety, stress, and panic attacks. Yes. I'm sorry. Trauma. Yes, trauma-related issues. Yes, yes, sister. Addiction. It is growing, unfortunately, and it's, by the way, you can't say, oh, Muslims don't get addicted. Come on. Well, addiction has so many factors that leads to it, and part of it, genes had to do something with it. The lifestyle, the poor supportive, environment to the individual, and they try to find coping mechanism into substance, and they end up having this. And by the way, addiction expands beyond the substances. It goes to different other activities. Any other suggestions before we move on? That's pretty much it, I guess. Yeah. You want to say something? Yeah?
I was going to say causation, like studying issues.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Interpersonal issues. Because some of my clients come to me saying, they're having issues. Just how can they optimize their potentials and their, abilities? Mood disorders, yes, possibility. Yes, bipolars, exactly. Even though that bipolar needs a lot of intervention from both psychiatrists and psychotherapists, but it's primarily an issue that requires medications most of the time. Yes. Personality disorders, yes, indeed. The list goes on. Yes, go ahead. Anger, oh, you hit the nail on the head. I'm telling you. There you go. I end up doing Jum'ah khutbah about anger management. Can you believe it? Standing on the minbar talking about anger management. Let's talk about anger management today. Do I have a problem with anger? Do I look like a person who has anger issues? Not at all. Why are you laughing? Do you have a problem? Oh, forget it. Just yes.
Stress due to expectations.
Yes, unrealistic expectations or high expectations in life. Yes, sister, go ahead. Yeah, I think it was mentioned somewhere around this. Yeah, yes, yeah. Okay. Anyways, yeah, go ahead. You want to say last one? Go ahead, okay. Phobias? Yeah, agoraphobia, phobia. Yeah, not that many, but it is existing. Yes.
Also mention loss of purpose.
Yes, in life, it's true. Exactly. By the way, a reason why I wanted to hear that from you is I just want you to feel comfortable that whatever thoughts you have in mind are not alone or only yours. because everybody else is thinking the same way. So mental health is across the board. Whatever issues you feel that you might be dealing with or others are dealing with are not taboo anymore. Let's break this perception, and let's be more open-minded of helping each other to be able to deal with our own issues in our life. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to share this, so you can see, oh, they're talking about this. They most likely have seen a person who's dealing with this, or deal with a person who's dealing with this, or they're themselves having that. Is there a problem with that? I had some of my own issues and dealt with them, and I had to seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with it, because we're human being. We're human being that have all the possibilities. Yeah, let's go. So name it again. Depression is a very common issue. You can I use this image, and by the way, my presentation I did like write the text, and my daughter is in grade 7 was trying to enhance the presentation. So I'm not sure where she got these images. Do they have copyright or do they have copyright? Just keep this between the two of us. I hope this stays offline. And I was hoping that she will be here with me today so she can run the presentations, but she is attending now this Quran competition in Mississauga, the MAC program. So you can see this is exactly how many of the clients come to me with depression feel. They feel their hands are tied. They feel helpless, powerless. They feel that their life is everything is down in their life. There's nothing they're able to enjoy or be able to benefit from in their life. They're like, elephant is very powerful animal, but look at him. This poor guy is down. Like even his what do you call the the horns? They're like turning down because everything is completely going wrong in the life when person is depressed. And when you see people with this status, don't be judgmental. They say, oh, come on, get out of here. Come on, like, is it difficult for you to do this? For you, it's easy. For them, might be not. Trust me. For you, simple tasks of life are easy to achieve. But for them, it might not be the same. So be mindful of that. In general, unless they're like, acting up and they want your sympathy and they're trying, using, different ways to do it, but that's a different issue. But in general, people with mental health issues, especially with depression, they're miskin. And unless you help them to optimize their power and explore their potentials and free them from the shackles that are preventing them from fully being able to see themselves as very powerful individuals, they're gonna be like this miskin. So the next, one is stress and anxiety. And I don't have to talk about stress and anxiety with your population. You guys don't know what stress is. When was your final, last exams? Oh, this coming this week, yesterday. You're relieved now. Alhamdulillah. May Allah give you barakah, ya Rabb. Allahumma ameen. I was, it's funny. I went to Umrah. This is not commercial. This is just personal, I went to Umrah end of January, and literally I was dragging my feet in the airport. It's like, and I wasn't able to move my shoulder or my neck, and I was like, how I'm gonna be sitting in the airplane for 12 hours? How I'm gonna be able to do the tawaf? How I'm gonna be able to do this and that? But subhanallah, once I get into the airplane and I switch my phone off and forget all about Toronto, Mississauga, Hamilton, Waterloo, Kitchener, Markham, because I'm running like a bee all over these places. I felt gradually, a heavy thing is moved away from my chest. When I got to Mecca, whoa, I noticed that I was able to do this, which is now I do it with difficulties. And I was like, wait a minute, my shoulder's pain where is it? It's not there. Stress can kill you, literally, if you do not pay attention to yourself. Let's go to the next slide quickly because we need to go. OCD, there you go. Next one. Couple and family issues, primarily related to deeper issues that couple are not aware of in their life. After that, trauma, grief and related issues, panic attacks. And you'll be surprised that professionals, with the very big potentials of success in their life, come to me with a panic attack. And we'll share that, inshallah, in the story, in the case study we'll be, inshallah, discussing together. Interpersonal issues related to, optimizing your abilities and, achieving goals and being, able to get what you need and what you are able to do in your life, which you are unable to do because you're so disoriented and you're having issues in your life. So let's talk about Muslim story. And I did type it quickly. So you want me to can you read it, or you want me to go scan it through it quickly? I'll just scan through it quickly. Muslim is a young man in his late 20s, early 30s. He is a professional with a family of 3 kids. He's been lately having panic attacks, stress, anxiety. The first time he had one, he was rushed to the hospital, went to emerge. He was examined, nothing was wrong. He did further, follow up with his family doctor. The family doctor did the necessary tests. Nothing is, there. They're sending him, he's perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. His issues did not disappear. They continued to hunt him. Once in a while, he went in a spiritual retreat just because he thought this could help him, just like what happened to me. He felt good while he was there and continued to feel good for some times after returning back. Unfortunately, a few weeks after his trip is finished and the novelty of coming back from Mecca was wearing off, then he came back to the normal issues, even worse than before. He noticed that when he goes outside Canada to a much warmer weather country, he feels good. And then when he comes back again, things will be hunting him, the same way as he had in the past. He he thought he's having, what's common to most Canadians, that we have depression as a result of the weather, cold winter. This is like there is a normal association between that, but eventually he thought could be the possibility. But then one of his friends recommended for him to seek help. Again, as usual, he did not think that therapy can help him. Forget it. I don't have any problems. His ego was, too high. And then eventually, as he continued to live in pain, he said, you know what? Let me try it. Is it confidential? Yes, brother, it's confidential. No worries. No one will know about it. What goes in Vegas stays in Vegas. This is the principle. This is it. I'm not going to judge you. Go crazy. Whatever you want to say. So what do you think? Let's go to the next slide. Tell me, what do you think is going on in the life of this person? Again, I'm not going to judge you. I would just want to make this more interactive so we're able to, inshallah, conclude by Isha. Is that right, Sheikh Ahmed? Not until Isha? Oh, yes. Why didn't you tell me, Sheikh? La hawla. Come on, then we need to get some work done. I thought it's until after Isha. La hawla. Like, what do you guys think? I'm leading Asr. Alhamdulillah, at least this would reduce my anxiety. At least we'll be praying Asr in Jama'ah. Because this is one of the main concerns I have always when I go to activities. When is your Salah? When are we going to be having our Salah? So let's go. What do you guys think? Be brief and share your thoughts and comments. Exactly. Go ahead.
Probably depressed.
Depressed? Possibly.
Going back home, probably mind off,
Yeah. But do you think depression is what he's dealing with, or there is something behind depression that is leading to his depression?
high stress to their family.
Exactly. Could be stress related to either work or family, environment. Let me just take from one there. Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yes, I know whom you're talking about, but keep it confidential. Exactly. There you go. It stays in this room. What's said in this room stays in this room, even though it's not that confidential. Okay, let's see. I think the sister was in this side, wanted to say something. Let's see. It's environmental stress. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. You want to say something?
There's some on the right.
My right? Oh, there you go. I'm sorry, sister. Go ahead. Yes, because the light is in my eyes. I was trying to find the spot where I could be able to see you. Catching one, like a grieving. I'm sorry. I thought you was catching up to a dead one. It's like maybe grieving issues. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Stress of meeting deadlines. Yes. Yes, sister. Yeah, possibly because of the very stressful lifestyle we're living, and the very busy, very dry life we live in. It could possibly that this is one of the reasons for him. Uh, yes,
Also not being able to practice and focus on your religion and that.
that's another possibility. Not enough fulfillment spiritually for your spiritual needs. Yeah.
Maybe he's like really busy.
Yeah, very stressful, busy lifestyle. This is what I need to ask people. Take a moment, breathe. Reflect. This is what we. There's a big program at Sick Kids, at least that I'm aware of. We work on in mindfulness, and we do mindfulness to different professionals, including doctors and nurses, and we tell them, take a moment of reflection. We ask doctors before they go from one patient to another patient to pause, take a few seconds of reflection, deep breath, refresh, and then go to see your next patient. This way, your next patient will be able to perceive you with fresh mindset. Yeah. You want to say something?
Yeah, it sounds like he's looking for different stuff to fulfill.
Hopefully the right stuff, brother.
So I feel like him going to different locations and put on these trips is just
Yes. And he's not getting what he wants. Change is not, changing the environment is not changing the cues, and still the same issues are dealt there. Yes. Yeah. I could see a sister in the back. Yes.
I was gonna say he's really young and has achieved a lot of things, so he's in life or there's nothing else.
Yeah, possible. That's right. There's a possibility as well. Yes, go ahead, Akhi. I'm telling you, you should be in my shoes. You're the one. He must be having two wives. I did not say it. He said it. And please don't mention that to my wife. طيب. When is Asr? 4 o'clock? Oh, 4 o'clock. طيب, okay, inshallah. طيب. All the things you said, by the way, are possibilities. But here's what I will surprise you with. I will surprise you with, now, this is not the same client. I did mixing different clients, just keep the confidentiality of the case, but at the same time give you an idea. What this person is suffering from were not all the issues that you were talking about, which are true, because they are the symptoms of a deeper issue inside. And this is, by the way, what I say to people when they come to me. Let's look into the mechanism and the function of the mind. Mind is like a computer chip. Computer has the processing, CPU, and the memories, and different other, gadgets and things inside, right? And when you look into the mind, you will find that our mind, to a certain extent, is similar to the artificial intelligence, machines we build. We try to intelligently program these machines to think, in certain circumstances, you meet this A, B, then will lead to C. And then, C and D and F will lead to, whatever. So we do have this tendency because, after all, we are, a human. Let's go back to the first one then. After all, we're a human being, and there's a slide in which it shows the human mind, where the conscience is about 10% and the subconscious is 90%. What does this mean? When you walk, do you think before you walk? I know Brother Ahmed has to do that because of his leg injury. But normally you don't think about it. But when you first start walking, oh man, it was a big hurdle. When you first start driving, and my nephew right now is, got his full G, and you should see how driving. After he finished the trip, I was like, I survived. I need therapy after I get this right. No, just kidding. For him, he's still a new driver. So he has to think before he takes any action. Does that sound familiar? Learning a new skill, requires from you a lot of efforts. You need to learn, apply, practice before it becomes a habit. And that's why in my last Jum'ah, by the way, talking about Sha'ban, and hopefully we are able to start practicing fasting from Rajab and Sha'ban to become a habit for us. So they would not be in the beginning of Ramadan struggling, I need to be able to focus on my ibadah. You're unable to focus on your ibadah because you're focusing on establishing your mind away from food. You get up in the morning and the cheesy burger comes into your mind, along with the sprinkle, donut. Oh my God, to the smell of the coffee. Oh my goodness, look at this treat. They come every day, every once in a while with a new treat. Did you notice that? Tim Hortons always have something, in the display. Pumpkin, the donut, whatever donut. And, by the way, I bribed my mother to come to Canada by telling her, if you come here, I'll bring for you Tim Hortons coffee. Because she came once from before in the summer, she enjoyed it, and she enjoyed Tim Hortons coffee. And when this winter come, she said, no way, I'm not staying here. Forget it. So we need her to stay here for 3 years, for the citizenship thing. So I said, okay, my only thing I can do it is if I get her addicted to coffee, Tim Hortons coffee, then she would say, oh, I can't leave Canada. And that's what I did. May Allah forgive me. I'm telling you, I need someone to help me with this guilt feeling. She's now having the difficulty to get off Tim Hortons coffee because it's causing problem for her blood pressure, issues. So anyways, her doctor is telling her, you gotta quit coffee because I can't control your blood pressure, medication is not doing it. But anyways, may Allah forgive me, but she loves me, wallahi, trust me. I don't know, that's what she said to me at least. So anyways, big chunk of what we believe in or what we do in our life is pre-programmed in the subconscious. And sometimes, as with what happened with your, most, beautiful gadgets in your hand, whether it's the phone or the laptop, you receive messages from, from Microsoft or from, the Apple saying, there's, an upgrade for the operating system, right? This is, you get a lot from the feed. What happens? There are, errors in the software or the operating system needs to be upgraded because there were some glitches or problems that needs to be upgraded. And once you download and restart, then the new upgrade will be coming and will enhance the ability of your phone or your gadget, your computing gadget, whether it's a laptop or desktop or whatever it is. So the same is to be said about your mind. Your mind, as you move on in your life, would also catch some codes and programmed in wrong way, would cause problems to your hardware. And that, what most of the time would be behind the issues you're dealing with in your life, whether they are depression or anxiety or panic attacks. And the way to deal with this, inshallah, we'll come to it. But this is what I tell to my clients. Can we talk about the past? When did you start having your issues? Most of the time, 99% of the cases, except for this morning's case, they always associate the change in their life, their panic attacks, their stress, their anxiety, their depression, to a major event in their life. That's what you need to focus on. It could be the loss of a loved one, could be an accident they were involved in, it could be a traumatic event that have caused a shift in their paradigm. Now, when they start talking, they become more gradually aware of their own conscience. Their unconscious, So I always use this, the metaphor to say, let's pour all your thoughts on the table, look at them from a distance, and let's also try to reorganize them. Let's see the next when you first plan for a trip, everybody asks you for gifts, and you think about, a big list of, things you need to buy. You're just throwing things in the luggage or the bag, and the bag becomes so congested, and it's not possible to close. But once you take everything out, lay it on the table, and then you sort it out nicely, then things would be smooth. You're able to close the bag, and it will be good, within the weight range, and everything is okay. So the same thing is to be said about your mind's functioning. You absorb so many things in your life, good and bad, and you pick up also, you develop also so many wrong thinking. Unless you're able to get that out and then absorb it gradually, digest it carefully, then you will not be able to change the way you think and see things in your life. So most of the time, you will associate cases like this with a major event. And in many cases, whether it's a death of a loved mother. One of my clients, he was telling me, I went to so many mainstream therapists. They cause more pain to me. And I just can't to be able to find the way to deal with my own issues. And after the first session, it's like, man, I was able to click with you from the first minute. This is not a commercial, by the way, even though I'm throwing commercials once in a while, because I need to survive, I need to make my living. But they say to me, I was able to click. I was like, wait a minute, he's talking to me. He's pinpointing the issues I'm dealing with. And the circumstances of death of the mother was what led to what he has been suffering from, along with so many other issues related to it. These major issues that cause disruption to our operating system in the back of our mind, in the subconscious, we're not aware of them, but they are controlling our life. When you drive, as I said, you don't think when you're driving, those who are driving. And when you walk, you don't think when you walk. It comes automatically. So what happened is that these glitches, these errors would cause pain to you, would cause illogical, thinking into your mind. And then unless you get them out and then you resort them and try to deal with them, then the problem is going to continue. So with many of my clients, we go to the trauma that they had to deal with early in their life, which triggered these issues, and not deal with the symptoms of depression and anxiety and the stress they're dealing with. Of course, we're living in a very stressful environment, but when you're not ready to interact and perceive things in your life because of the illogical thinking or the errors in your operating system, then eventually more pain will be caused to you. So the first thing we start with is, let's go back to the past. Let's pin out what is the problem with your thinking, mechanism, and let's try to reprogram that with using a realistic approach based on the cultural perspective and coated with Islamic understanding. Because that's what most of the time, most of the clients are having problem with. وَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مِّن قَبْلِ أَن نَّبْرَأَهَا لِكَيْ لَا تَحْزَنُوا عَلَى مَا فَاتَكُمْ وَلَا تَفْرَحُوا بِمَا آتَاكُمْ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُم بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Translation: whatever befalls on you or around you, except has been ordained in a book before your existence. And Allah Azza said that we will be testing you with different forms of tests and give glad tidings to those who are patient. And at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ told us, إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ عَبْدًا ابتلاه. Right? If Allah loves a servant, He would test him or her. So when you perceive these things that happen to you in your life from the right perspective, making sense of the nonsense in your life, you will be able to live in harmony. You will be able to live in peace. You will be in ease within yourself and eventually with the environment around you. Right? How are we able to deal with this, error of thinking? We need to put them again to the, issues from Islamic perspective that would help the client or the person who's going through that struggle to relate and identify from Islamic, point of view what is happening in his or her life. What month are we in right now? Rajab. And at the end of Rajab, normally we recognize. At the end of Rajab, there's a significant event in the Islamic calendar. There you go, Isra and Mi'raj. And when did Isra and Mi'raj took place, by the way? In the Am al-Huzn, the grieving year, isn't it? طيب, why is it called grieving year? Am al-Huzn, the sad year. The Prophet ﷺ lost Khadija and his uncle, that's right, and his wife Khadija, right? And he did not get enough support from people of Mecca and gave up on them and went outside to At-Ta'if to seek support and help. And instead of giving him, any support, what happened? They stoned him. And he left from At-Ta'if, crying, emotionally and bleeding. His feet were bleeding. Now, think of all, these circumstances that happened to the Prophet ﷺ. Think how traumatic, this happened in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And there is a beautiful dua that the Prophet ﷺ said in that night when he was chased by the people of At-Ta'if, and he sought refuge in one of the gardens, the children of Utbah. And in that garden he sat and he said the dua, اللهم إني أشكو إليك ضعفي وقلة حيلتي وهواني على الناس يا رب المستضعفين أنت ربي. He poured all his pain to Allah Azza wa Jalla in a beautiful, soft, loaded dua of emotions. And in that particular night, when he came back home and went to Mecca, unable to enter Mecca by himself, by the way, because Mecca would have, when they learned that he went to At-Ta'if to persuade At-Ta'if to be against Mecca, now they will be, after him. So he got the protection from Al-Mut'im ibn Adi to be able to come back safely to his home. In that particular environment, Jibreel came to the Prophet ﷺ and took him in that journey, Isra and Mi'raj, and ease and comfort to the Prophet ﷺ. Now, when you try to relate your difficulties to what the Prophet ﷺ had gone through and see how the Prophet ﷺ responded with that difficulty in his dua. And dua is one of the most powerful ibadat we do in our life. And if it is done mindfully, then you're not able only to get the response and intervention of the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal, you're also able to get the relief. There is an image, this is like pouring your thoughts, and this is connecting the dots and working on your psychology, and this is what happens when your mind is congested, and this is what you need to pay attention to the stress into your mind. And this is what happened when your mind is so stressful. But there's one slide, I just wanted to go to it. Yeah. See, when you have a bottle that has the capacity of 500 milliliter, and you put that bottle under the tab, eventually, in a short time, the water would be full, and the water would be splashing on the sides. Like, how can we keep a safe, space in that bottle for breathing while the tab is on? How we can reduce the stress in our life and maintain a healthy, lifestyle. There is no possibility that you can shut off the tab, because stress is continuous in your life, right? But there is a possibility you can reduce it a little bit by avoiding certain situations, by trying to get more support and help. But what's important is to have a mechanism that will help you to catharsize your tense feelings and allow the ratio of the water that goes in be similar to the ratio of water that goes out. And that could be possibly when you're engaged in mindful activities. You heard of mindfulness? And one of the most powerful tool of mindfulness, and I am certified as a mindfulness cognitive-based therapist, is salah. To be able to get the fruits of salah, you need to obtain the salah of khushu'. واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. This is mentioned in the first juz of the Quran, speaking about Bani Israel. In the second juz of the Quran, Allah Azza says the same verse, واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. This is speaking about the Sahaba. What's the difference? Bani Israel need to be reminded constantly about the akhirah and the death and dying, so they are able to achieve the khushu'. While the Sahaba already have passed that stage and they are interacting with Allah Azza wa Jal. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Allah is with those who are patient. Practically speaking, people with difficulties and challenges in their life need to be mindful of how their mind is operating. First, seek professional help if it is, serious enough, through your family doctor who will be doing the assessment, will refer you to a psychiatry, and the psychiatry will start you with medication and recommend for you to see a therapist. Chances are your family doctor will be saying to you, well, you know what? There's nothing really serious in your case, but maybe you need to see a therapist. If they say to you that, listen to them. Don't just take it, oh, they're trying to make business. I know there's a connection. By the way, my family doctor referred to me clients, but there's nothing I get from her or she gets from me. Period. So we're concerned about the mental health well-being of the individuals. Second is, again, look for a therapist who understands where you're coming from. Not necessarily the cultural background, but your perspective as a Muslim, because it does make a difference when someone is trying to help you and then they're going against your own beliefs and values. And there's like a lot of always debate I engage in the hospital, in the palliative care team or the ethical department, because they talk about things that are related, to the mainstream, but they fail to understand what is into the Muslim, patients population. So I try to help them understand that, yes, indeed, the cultural, the faith perspective is a major component into the overall treatment plan for the patient. And unless that is paid attention to, then the treatment will not be as effective. Now, we still have 10 minutes, right?
5 minutes and Q&A.
Oh, we still have a Q&A. طيب, inshallah, we'll wrap it up because each time he looks at his watch, my anxiety shoots up. And I was going to say that if you continue to do that, I'm going to be having a panic attack. And I'll be giving you practical understanding demonstrations to what I have been, showing in my slides. Along with your treatment plan and to maintain a healthy lifestyle, please pay attention to your spiritual need. Try to gradually adopt to mindfulness, salah lifestyle. You know how long it takes? One of my clients said to me that in mindfulness salah, Al-Fatiha, right? How long does it take to read the Fatiha? 2 minutes? 1 minute maybe. One of my clients take 45 minutes to read Al-Fatiha in Salah. 45 minutes. Are they like out of their mind? No. They're so mindful to the point after during their mindfulness salah, which is similar to what Abdullah ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Who is Abdullah ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, by the way? The dude that went to school with you? Your buddy in high school? No? Your neighborhood, friend? Abdullah ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awwam is the grandchild of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. The son of Asma and Az-Zubayr. And Az-Zubayr is the paternal cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ibnatu Ammati Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Ibnat Am Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Safiya, who is one of the main supporters of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, an advocate for the deen of Allah. Her son Az-Zubayr and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the first man after the Prophet ﷺ, his daughter is Asma. They both gave birth to Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the Khalifa. He became Khalifa. When he used to engage in Salah, the birds would land on his head, think he's the trunk of a tree. And when Al-Hajjaj was bombarding Al-Kaaba, the shell will be going through his, beard and chest, and he would not pay attention to it. He's not there. That's how focused and engaged he was in the salah. When he had an event where his leg need to be emulated, and I think you heard this story from before, he did not choose to take an intoxicating substance to lose conscience, to allow the doctors to emulate his leg, but rather he said to them, let me engage in salah, and then once I am fully immersed in salah, you can do whatever you want. And then after that, they cut his leg while he was not, enduring the pain. This is a real story, by the way. This is not illusions. We heard it so many times, but this is real. Like, this is not, fiction story. So what are we getting from that? There is a very powerful mindfulness ibadah, whether it is قراءة القرآن بتدبر, reading Quran in mindfulness with reflection, whether it is salah, which includes visualizing yourself standing between the hands of Allah Azza Jal, Jannah on your right and the Nar on your left, and you're in front of the Kaaba, and reflect and contemplate on every single word you recite and live it. And think of the application of that in your life. Trust me, my brothers and sisters, if you do that, by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, you'll live in peace. Because all the pain, all the stress will disappear. And you will be living in comfort within yourself and within the environment around you. And Allah's rahmah will be showering you, which is more important. Right. Because I thought we're staying here until Isha, ya Sheikh Ahmad, and I thought, maybe you're going to give me another treat after Isha to Taraweeh. And you said that we're going to be finishing at 4 o'clock, which is about 8 minutes from now. I will be opening the floor for you to, ask your questions. And I don't think there's much to miss from the slides. You can just scan through them quickly. Yeah, this is related stuff to, I think the next, this is just, diving into the mind, like reprogramming, mindfulness salah. So you can stop there, inshallah. Right, I'll let you know. I'm not sure how you're going to do it. Are we going to read the questions? Oh, please, go ahead, yes.
We have a anonymous form with questions for you guys to write all your questions on. It's tinyurl.
Hopefully the phone is on, right? Is it on?
/MIMC asks. Again, that's tinyurl.com/MIMC asks. I'll repeat that one more time.
Yes.
tinyurl.com/MIMC asks. Said it 3 times and I still forgot it.
So,
okay. We do have a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Already in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys can put in your questions as well.
Yeah.
Okay. First question has a bit of a backstory. It says, I was extroverted when I was young and I'm still capable of being so. However, when I was 12, an event caused me to become very introverted and I found a lot of peace and developed my character and behavior with myself during that time. Now that I am in university, I have met a lot of good Muslims and sit with them often. However, I enjoy my alone time a lot in gatherings, feel as though my character and behavior become worse. So the question is, I am somewhat addicted to isolation and I want to know what's the balance between social and personal life, and how do you know when isolating, you're not doing it out of depression, but rather out of feeling closeness to Allah alone?
That's a very good question. Islam is دين الاعتدال, الوسطية, and we're a middle nation. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. And we need to balance between, social life and private ibadah life. Now, I know there by nature, some people are extrovert and others are introvert. Now, one of the main challenges for the introverts is to be, dealing in public, exposing themselves in public, and vice versa. But what is important is to strike a balance. And then maybe the benchmark where you are able to realize when are too introvert or too extrovert is your ibadat. Are you able to get enough from your ibadah? Because your ibadah needs to be done with mindfulness. And you need the time for that. Too much socializing is unhealthy, but it is also important for your mental health well-being. After all, we're social beings, by the way. Allah did not create us metals or wood or anything else. We're social beings. It's a very important component of who we are to socialize, but within limits. There are, people who exceed that limits and too much socializing and too much laughing and joking and TV time and and coffee time to the point that they lose on their academic life, their ibadah life, and their reflection time. So strike a balance. If you need to get some help, you can get from some hints and tips on how to become more extrovert if you're an introvert. By breaking the ice of how to reach out for people. And again, let's be more open-minded and reach out for those who do not come to our events and activities. Most of the time, those who are vocal, extrovert, are the one we know, and they're socializing with everyone. Cool guys, right? But what about those not so cool? Well, they are living in their own cocoon. So help them in a nice way to come out from their cocoon, so they're able. And those who are living in introvert, it's all about perceptions. It's not going to hurt to reach out, and especially for those who are the organizers, Salat al-Jum'ah, reach out for them. How can I help today? Like, I would like to be involved with your Salah activities, with your programs and activities like this. Gradually, this will give you the door to get engaged. And gradually, as you get involved, alhamdulillah, things would start easing up, and you're still moving on in your life.
Okay, so we do have a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're gonna have to finish off by 4. So we're gonna try to get through as many in the next couple of minutes.
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
But question here is how do we thrive or overcome depression and fear of failure? How do we use our brains to the optimal capacity? Do you think that helps our mental issues?
Yes, precisely. Now again, we need to differentiate between hala and jaza. Hala is a mild state of depression. Like, people I get depressed a lot in the winter. Like, who doesn't get depressed when you see the snow outside? 2 meters of snow. Oh, come on. I need to talk to you then. But again, at the same time, we need, if depression is severe enough and it's, what you call it, diagnosed as a clinical depression, then I think this is where we need to start with the family doctor. The family doctor, they have the ability to assess and tell you whether your depression is, severe enough that you need medication to start with for a certain time and seek some professional help so you can move on. And after that, inshallah, you will be able to stop medication and be able to live a happier life. Now, in terms of interpersonal and professional development, I think this is like a huge area that needs other professionals than myself to help you be able. I can do it to a certain extent, but I think more professionals who can help you to optimize your academic life. But in general, if you think of it this way, now, how many of the Sahaba are recognized in the books of Sirah? Only a few. We have, Rijal Hawl Rasul. You heard about this book? Men around the Prophet. I think the count is like 100 or so. Like, what about the rest? Why they were not mentioned? Because they lived for themselves. If you live for others, chances you will be excelling and thriving and will be remembered, not for the sake of fame and name, but you will be paving something for your real life. But if you live closed and personal life, how many millionaires we have every once in a while? Bill Gates was standing as the most richest person, and then this guy, Elon Musk, came over and took over him. And then Allah knows who's going to be. Maybe me. You never know. If I become the next billionaire, I'm not sure if I'm going to be coming here, to talk to you guys or not. Yeah, and then not to talk about my Lamborghini, because Ahmed still wanted to get a ride in it.
Okay. There are a lot of questions here regarding Salah and how do we start getting back into Salah and maintain khushu' and improve our Salah and practice mindfulness in Salah when we're so stressed and overwhelmed. Again,
the person I was talking about who's hafid, and that person is having difficulty in depression. Now that person is having difficulty with Salah, by the way. And that person is crying because they're telling me, I can't get up for Fajr. Who I am as being, a role model, hafiz, talking to people. And I try to explain to that person that take it easy. You're a human being after all. The Sahaba themselves, by the way, once missed Salat al-Fajr. You know this event in the Seerah, right? This is how we know that how we make up for Salat al-Fajr. So we need to be mindful of an unease in ourselves. Yes, if it is related to mental health issues, let's seek the right treatment for it, and the therapy that would help us to put us on track. And one important thing is, the image of the infant and the toddler, and then the child walking. Let's think about that on all our ibadat perspective. Let's start with a small, achievable goal of ibadah. Even if it is just getting up for Fajr and stay in the bed. For the first 2 days, it's okay. The next day, get up from bed and move around. Third day, get your wudu. Fourth day, you move on. Set an action plan, and trust me, it does help. I've tried it with so many clients. Alhamdulillah, Azza wa Jal, things are improving. So it is possible, it is doable, but think of all the skills you have in your professional life and academic life, apply them in your ibadah life.
There are also a couple questions about stigmas within families and communities. So how do you prioritize your mental health and home and family culture that doesn't validate those struggles?
Yeah, unfortunately nowadays, it's a struggle, especially if it's within the family that they still don't know. But if this is the case, reach out for your imam, reach out for the professionals in the community. Alhamdulillah, I know that within the MSA population there are, mashallah, many brothers and sisters who are by nature have the ability to connect and provide emotional support. So you can reach out for them as the first line of defense, and then from there we can take it. I'm reluctant to pledge my time for people, but inshallah I could with certain limitations, but inshallah I am here and I'm willing inshallah to be able to do something. But I'm sure many of the imams now are trained. They're like, alhamdulillah, things are changing, except that be cautious. Some imams might not have understanding to mental health issues, and most of their time recommendations would be off. Let's just be careful with that.
Okay. With that, unfortunately, we're gonna have to wrap up the Q&A. There's so many questions, mashallah. You guys have a lot of amazing questions. So what we will say is, if you could maybe provide your email.
Sure, definitely, yes, inshallah.
We could contact you if you wanna say it to them, and we'll also share.
We could possibly create a podcast. This would be more practical, and with the help of Osama and Ahmad, and we present these questions, and then we make it available online. That's another possibility.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm done. That's it.
Okay. Fantastic. So
Sure. Waiyakum, inshallah.
Just a few quick announcements. Awesome, inshallah, is going to be happening at 4:15 sharp. We also have.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. May Allah give you barakah. Can I save this for someone else?
There's going to be.
It's a gift from us to you.
Allah yajzak khair. No, I wanted to keep.
But there's going to be.
I wanted to keep the ajr from Allah Azza wa Jal, and keep it. You can.
There's plenty for others as well, inshallah.
Are you sure? And if you can use it, and trust me, and you can use it for someone else. May Allah give you barakah, inshallah.
There is a embroidery workshop happening at 4:30.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah